I like that.
Welcome to the January 15th Town Board Committee of the Whole. Please stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John Baisley, First Ward.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Joe Conti, Third Ward.
Michael Safone, Fourth Ward.
Stefan Krakauer, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Todd Tancredi, Supervisor.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, Attorney for the town.
All right. We just have two items on our agenda tonight, and I'm just going to just switch the order up from the agenda that's printed. First discussion will be with our grant writer, Susan Roller Brown, who's done a great job with us for 8 years. Hard to believe it's been 8 years, but Susan has decided to hang up the grant writing pen, so to speak, and she's brought Martin Schneider with her, and she's recommending Martin to fill her spot. So if you'd like to come up and tell us a little bit of, Martin, tell us about yourself, but Susan, give us a little recap maybe over what we've accomplished over 8 years.
Susan Roller Brown, retiring consulting grant writer of Town of Poughkeepsie. First, I want to say it's really been a great pleasure working with the town. As some of you know, I actually worked for the town before becoming your official grant writer during my years at Marist College, when the town was a very vital partner in the development of Longview Park at Marist. Many of the grants that we received for that project had to have a municipal sponsor, and the town, I think I worked through 4 different supervisors, and half a dozen other changes in staff, but the town was very cooperative, and I would prepare grants, and they would be signed and submitted by the town. So my relationship with the town goes back many years. As Todd mentioned, I am retiring. I do want to assure you I am not going anywhere. Dutchess County will continue to be our home, and as I have indicated, I will be available on an as-needed basis if any questions come up on projects that I secured grants for, on grant administration issues. There will be continuity there if need be. I think that all of you received a copy of my last quarterly report, and I did attach a list of the key grants that we received during my tenure here with the town. I'm very proud of having had the opportunity to assist the town in improving the quality of life for your residents, as well as improving the efficiency of government operations here in the town. Everything from new sidewalks to records management improvements to park development and solar heating, solar electric power on the roof of the building.
That goes back a number of years,
So we've had a broad range of opportunities to bring in support for the town. And part of my decision to retire was really contingent on being able to identify someone that I felt comfortable recommending to my municipal clients as my replacement. As I contemplated this over the past year, I've talked to a number of colleagues, particularly the program officers for some of the key state agencies that do a lot of the grant funding. And I discovered what I suspected, which is there are very few people, at least here in the Mid-Hudson Valley, who do what we do. So I was delighted when several state agency program officers recommended Marty Schneider. From the several meetings that we've had, and we've had some in-depth discussions, traded war stories, and compared notes. And I am convinced that he has all of the requisite background, as well as I think the integrity that you really need in a person who is doing this kind of work, to be a really great addition to the town's consulting staff. I think at this point, let me just turn it over to
Okay,
Marty.
sure.
He can tell you a little bit about his background, particularly the work he's done with other municipalities and the types of grants that he's secured, which you will see are very, very similar to the types that we have been getting here in the town. So Marty?
Thank you, Susan, and thank you very much for having me here tonight and for your time and for your attention. I'm looking forward, would look forward to working with the town based on my experience and also passion for community development. I was really gratified to hear from Susan because Susan has an excellent reputation amongst other grant writers as well as from the state for her integrity and attention to detail. So when she approached me, I was very humbled, and so I'm humbled in submitting this application to you, proposal to serve the town. I have 19 years of experience in grant writing, which has taken me from the nonprofit world where I was a grant writer for a community development organization for about 13 years. And then for the past 6, close to 7 years, I've been working as a consultant for municipalities, schools, community college, and writing grant applications to state and federal governments, as well as foundations. And I've been fairly successful in getting grants and awards for local municipalities from some of the similar state agencies that Susan has gotten for the town of Poughkeepsie. And in particular, they range from local waterfront parks projects to senior hybrid vans, to police car, to fire equipment, to sidewalk projects, local government records projects, some LED traffic lights. So they range, and in that process, I've been involved in providing both development support as well as grants management support. And I can get as involved as the municipal client wants me to get involved in. I look forward to answering any questions that you may have, or look forward to working with you. I plan on being attentive to your needs and also wanting to know about what your needs are so that I can help you with identifying and prioritizing and getting funding opportunities to you.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Marty?
Do we have a...
Go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead. No, we'll let you go first. You love to talk. Go first.
Do we have a proposed agreement from Mr. Schneider yet for the grant writing?
No, well, I have an agreement which we've used with Ms. Roller Brown in the past, and I don't know, I've not spoken with Martin about whether that same agreement at whatever rate you would think appropriate.
Are we looking at the same rate effectively in kind of same terms as, okay.
Yes.
And then are there other municipal clients locally that you've worked with that we could touch base with that, as references?
I can give you the list of references. They range from and the phone numbers for Michael Blau in the Village of Tarrytown, City of New Rochelle.
I mean, I appreciate Susan's reference, but that I also want to just touch base on the client side and see,
Sure.
But I mean, I think having a grant writer makes a lot of sense. And what happens is when you don't, you have staff members that try to fill those voids. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think generally what you end up doing is leaving money on the table. Whereas with a grant writer, having somebody that's actively pursuing it, I think it's worked out well for the town of Poughkeepsie in that we're always in the game. We're always looking and seeing what's out there. So, I think when Susan came in, she kind of filled a void that, we had looked at a few different ways to deal with in the past, and it's worked out very well, I think, for the town. So I would love to have that continuity, and her recommendation, I think is very valuable in this situation. So I'm definitely in favor of going forward and making sure that we fill that position and don't kind of sit on the sidelines while other people
I agree.
are collecting the funds.
Now, Martin, there's no other municipalities in Dutchess County you're working for currently, or no?
No.
No? So it's basically Westchester down that end, so it wouldn't conflict with anything along the county line or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Anybody have anything else?
I just it's a grant question, but the Safe Route to Schools grant that we got for up in Fairview, I believe Spackenkill is either trying to apply or applying, and I don't know if it went to Susan or to Jim or somewhere else, but I got the impression from Spackenkill School District that they batted the ball over into our court, and we're waiting on us to do something with that.
That's news to me.
I think that I, about a year ago perhaps, had looked into the possibility of that.
I don't recall, and that's not fresh.
Because they're looking to do sidewalks from Hagan Elementary School to the high school up Hagan Drive, and I got the impression, I was at their district safety meeting a couple days ago, and they gave me the impression that they had sent it over to us to take a look at or to move it forward.
I have a fine list of things that I haven't yet completed, but I don't think that's on it.
Okay.
Stefan, let me check my files because that does
Okay.
ring a bell. I believe that I had followed up on, an initial inquiry about that a couple of years ago. And I can't recall what the obstacle was, but I believe there was a reason why that it may not have qualified for that funding stream.
Okay.
Or there was a decision
That's
on
all
their
private, the big difference between up on Fulton and what you're suggesting, in Mike's ward, it was, homes and for the most part, residential properties. This is on school, from Hagan to the high school?
From Hagan Elementary up to the high school.
Oh, Hagan Elementary.
It's not that far.
I thought you meant Hagan Road.
No, just from Hagan Elementary School up to the high school.
Well, this particular funding stream requires that the project be within 2 miles of a K through 8. So it would have to be focused on servicing the elementary school, not the high school.
Well, okay.
And if it's connecting them, I think there's probably not an issue there. But as I say, let me go back into my files and check my notes, because I know the last time
I don't
the
recall.
Safe Routes to School funds were available, we looked at the Mays Elementary as a possibility, and there did not seem to be any real enthusiasm by the school folks on that, and I believe that...
That one seems to make sense because it's a relatively busy road and it's main road in there, and again, it's connecting 2 schools together.
Right.
And you got kids kind of walking through
I
there.
would just make sure you check with the residents, because one thing we've encountered up on Fulton is when it snows,
They want to shovel it.
they're responsible for those sidewalks.
In all honesty, we told everybody that.
But no, I'm not saying you
I'm
didn't.
just
I'm
letting you
just
know.
saying that was an issue. It's
And
an issue when it snows.
I think a lot of the land actually is on the school district's
That would be
property, depending on which side of the road you put the sidewalk. So I think it probably wouldn't be that many people that would actually be impacted with having to shovel sidewalk.
I thought I'd heard it.
But it seemed like a good idea, and that's why I say the district was under the impression that ball was batted in our court. So I just was hoping we could figure out.
Let me take a look. As I say, it's ringing a
Okay.
bell, and
Okay.
I will get back and let you know on that.
Okay, thank you.
And Marty, you can forward through email a few references and,
Sure.
okay? Sure. Anything else?
Marty, does your scope of employment include notifying the town when you become aware of something we might want to be involved in?
Sure, absolutely.
And that goes to the supervisor?
Yes.
Well, Susan's been actually very good at
Send you.
sending us a quarterly report to the entire board so that we all know what's going on. Because part of it is Todd's dealing with the whole town. We sometimes deal with just dealing with our ward. Sometimes get some more specific information. So it's kind of worked out well that we all kind of know what's going on and get the feedback. So
But what Marty want from us is to know what our needs are. In other words, we have a sewer plant that we need to do an upgrade on, the water plant that proposed, things like that. So as he's, looking for grant opportunities, he'll know, and pretty much it runs the gamut, but, he'll know, and then have things prioritized so that if there's opportunities, he'll know to, give us a heads up.
And we'd always like you to be pursuing things in the best interest of the town as well, outside of our scope of requests. We would hope that you'd bring that to us, which I
Absolutely.
gathered you would from
Absolutely.
the.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
from what you told me, it sounds like you've done a lot of different
I go
variations
through
of them.
the federal grants.gov as well as the New York State Grants Gateway, and knowing what your needs are, the top 10 list, as well as I look for grants, I'll keep that in mind. But also, if there's something that's not in that top 10 that comes along, I'll forward to you as well, because there may be some other unanticipated opportunities that come along that you would want to look and see, and if you want to go for. And I would try to do that on an ongoing basis. I wouldn't wait for a long time to pass.
Good, thank you. All right, appreciate you being here.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks for your service.
Look forward.
Thanks, Susan. Susan, thank you very much.
Thank you,
pleasure.
Susan, for all your work
For your
on our
service.
behalf. I'm sure we'll be calling you for something.
I know Jim will call me for something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Look
the
forward to hearing
opportunity
from
to
you.
serve you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have a quarterly report from our controller. He's going to basically review the fourth quarter, less some December bills are still coming in, and some of them are still being paid, but he has pretty solid numbers through November at a minimum, and it'll give us a good snapshot of how things are looking for the end of the year.
Year starts out.
Yeah, he's gonna.
Gonna work, Jim?
Yeah, man.
Save some money.
Gonna work this time?
Save some money.
Jim Waterwoods, Town Comptroller. Thank you, Todd. This may take a minute to get up and running, so. Thank you.
That part's gonna work. Better than we usually do.
We're not there yet, Jay. As Todd mentioned, this is an effort to keep up his supervisor's commitment to transparency. This is going to be a quarterly update. We're close to the month of November, and then we sprinkled in a little bit of December's results. And I'll be going with it. Just wait till this thing comes up, and we'll follow right along. There's 9 slides. Come on. Just want to increase that. Okay, thank you. So basically, there's a lot of detail attached here. The month of November is closed, and the supervisor and I met with each department as well in mid-December to discuss the December results. The key being there, we want to make sure there's no negative surprises. So we feel pretty confident the following discussion. There's a lot of detail, so I invite you. I know Bill's new. He's been asking a lot of great questions already. If you want some more detail, you can stop in anytime or call. Todd's door is open as well at all times. So basically, we met with each department head in mid-December. We'll be touching on some of these issues as we go along. Now, without further ado, the first screen is something Todd created a couple of years ago. Basically, what this is the tax distribution. This is the 5 different types of folks that live in the town of Poughkeepsie, the combinations of school district and fire district. We thought this would be interesting, and this is going to be on the web as well for you folks at home if you want to look at it. So basically, take a look at slide 1. If you look at the first column, that's for folks that live in the Arlington School District and the Arlington Fire District. So you see the town tax remains the same. We're 4.6 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. The county is $3.65. The school districts are all different. And the 3 different firehouses are all different as well.
I have a question.
Yes, please do.
The 3.65% doesn't count all the money they take in sales tax and all the other stuff, right? Or does it?
No, that's their cost to the residents that live in the town, $3.65 per
It's a
thousand.
levy to the residents.
Right.
But it's not,
No.
it's actually, county's share of what they take out of our pockets is a lot higher because they're taking sales tax and.
A way of just saying it, Stefan, for sure. And that 365 is strictly to the town residents. They're all different rates for the county, depending on what town you live in. But for our folks, it's $3.65. That's what you're going to see in your tax bill.
I think that's pretty good bang for your buck, in all honesty, when you look at 4.6% of the overall, and we're providing police and everything else.
You certainly have to look at it that way, Stefan. I mean, if you look at the red up there, and I don't want to go too much into the fire districts, but 4.6 compared to 5.54.
Yeah.
And that includes highway, police,
Rec.
everything in the rec,
You know, and the reason I like.
building support.
And the reason I like these graphs is, we collect money for the schools and the fire and so on. But this gives the residents a great idea as to, where their money's being spent and how it's being spent and which, whether it's, the impact, right, for each area, whether it's fire, school, county. So, it's I think an interesting way to look at where the money's going.
Just cut that purple line right out.
The first number is 5.54.
Thank you.
Arlington Fire. Fairview is 7.1, and New Hamburg is 1.52. Now, the next graph is just shown a little bit differently, but so we took slide 2. I want you to look at the 4th column from the left. Now, that's Wappinger's school district. That's down around our First Ward area of town. So you can see the New Hamburg Fire District is low in the red. And Jay, I believe that's because they do a lot of volunteer work down there.
It's a volunteer department, that's why.
All volunteer.
And the school district's a little bit better too down in Wappingers. So just for point of reference, again, this will be on the website if people want to see where their tax dollar goes. We thought it was important. Todd's got this on the bulletin boards in town. Tax receiver has it down there. The assessor has one.
Not good, not good.
So just for points of information. Now I'm going to start the presentation. The first slide, slide 3, is our general fund. This is the A fund. It includes a portion of the town that represents the village of Wappingers. Now, our police do not go into the village. Mark Pfeiffer's crew does not go into the village. They're strictly outside, general, but outside village. So these expenses are strictly representing the town. Like, for example, Todd's office. Todd picks up the phone. If there's a resident in the village of Wappingers on the town side, we represent them. So a few highlights I'll go through here. What I've got, column 1.
Are villages are required to be a part of the town and pay taxes to the town?
I believe so. I mean, the village of Wappinger, Stefan, is split in 2.
Right, but the village of Wappinger, if they wanted to, they have no choice. They have to be part of Wappinger, part of town of Poughkeepsie, or part of both.
I think you're correct. There's no village in New York State that's not part of the town. Yeah.
I mean, we don't, sort of like the county with us, we don't do a ton for them. County doesn't do a ton for us. We got our own police force and on planning and everything else, so. All right.
Okay, column 1 is the annual budget. Column 2 is what's actually been expended through 11 months. And then column 3 is what we have remaining in the budget. So just a few highlights. I know it's hard to see, but you have a hard copy. Election expenses, no longer budgeted. This is paid for by the county now. This is tied into the sales tax adjustment we got tied into in 2012. More on that later. Not really a good story, but a positive is the unallocated insurance and property. Ever since we switched over, we've been in a surplus on our insurance. You'll see up there, it's the,
And that's the Smith, Jack Smith.
Jack Smith, right, property and liability insurance, plus 44,000. We've paid the full bill for the year. We had a budget of 120, cost us 76, so we're plus 40,000 there. Judgment and claims. Now, this isn't a great story, but I wanted to mention it. About halfway down the page, $300,000 budget. We've spent 291, and there's no more in December. Todd won't allow me to exceed that 300,000. So by hook or by crook, we stayed under the 300,000. And folks, believe it or not, that number was budgeted at 60,000 in 2010. So maybe a sign of the times that tax certs are out there. I think there's a couple of firms, Stefan, you probably know better than anybody, but there's a couple of firms that specialize in that, and they throw their hat in the ring. But that number was budgeted at 60,000 3 years ago. Recreation administration, plus 20,000 there. We had a restructuring in that office. A full-time clerk retired. Tom hired a part-time person. She'll work more hours during the summer. Kind of a restructuring. It's worked out very well so far. Todd, I think you'd agree? Unemployment insurance. This is another area we've cracked down. Much more diligent before we hire someone. You never really know, but so we're going to exceed budget on all funds on our unemployment insurance. Day camps, the structure changed a little bit in 13 and 14 as well. Very popular with the residents of the town. Our required subsidy was about $25,000, meaning that the camps to run cost us about $78,000, and the revenue that came in was about $55,000. And I know I spoke to Tom this morning. He feels we budgeted it as an improvement in 14. I guess there were some issues getting going with the labor, but very popular with the residents. Adult recreation, we have a surplus there as well. This is a function of the senior center opened a little bit later than we expected, but we saved the money, we encumbered it, so anticipating additional expenses, and that's been very positive since it's been open. Workers' comp is a negative, but we have taken action on that as well. We switched over to the Dutchess County plan. There was a savings in the 2014 budget. We were negatively affected by, there's some New York State laws out there. The fee per employee went up, it almost doubled from 400 to 800, and a couple other taxes involved there, but we did take an action. We had the guy from Dutchess County in the other day, and we're expecting that to work as well. So the bottom line here is that we expect our total expenses of $5.7 million. We expect to, on the appropriation side, we expect to beat budget, and that's at all 5 major funds. Todd's, works closely with the department heads. We expect them to ensure that we meet, the challenge for 2013 is the revenue side, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Slide 4 is the revenue side. The first one we have to talk about here, we have a negative 130 in the mortgage tax. You'll see it up there. We had budgeted 900,000. We got our final check in December, coming in about 769.
Yeah.
So again, in 2012, actual was $1,050,000. So we ended up budgeting 900,000. Again, we get one number from the county. We hear some stuff in the paper that things are going good. Somehow we haven't seen it this year. We did reduce our 2014 budget to 800,000, and believe it or not, in 2007, we actually received over 2.4 million, so.
Right, so, for those who sometimes wonder how the economy affects our municipality. In 2007 or 8, we were 2.3 million in mortgage tax receivable. For 2014, we'll be at 800,000, and that's down 100,000 from 2013 because we didn't make budget on that line item. So hopefully the housing market will improve. If it does, we'll be in good shape, and we all are hoping that's the case. But we're trying to be conservative as possible with that particular line item.
Next, slide 5 is our B fund. This is the largest fund in the town. Our police are in here, planning, building, zoning. Again, the appropriations are very positive. The police continue to work within the budget constraints. He's fantastic to work with. He meets with supervisor regularly, and if someone, before they even consider hiring, they always allow time, and so he works well. Again, we made out with the property insurance. The B fund is our largest insurance fund. We're going to be plus 150,000.
In which, Jim?
In the property insurance.
Oh, I see.
Second from the top, unallocated insurance. Now, a negative down, go ahead, Todd.
Go ahead, yeah, I was
just saying,
going
one of the
right where you were going, go ahead.
One of the negatives on the bottom is the retirees' medical insurance. We had budgeted 880,000, it came in over $1 million. Now, what we have here, my note on the side, the cops retire at 100% medical. So we kind of save money on the salary, and when a top cop retires, I know the last cop that retired left it going out at 90,000, say. A new cop starts out of the academy at about 55,000. So we kind of make it up that way, and that's up in the savings up there in the 899. But, and we did increase the budget for the retirees to over $1 million in 2014. But we more than make it up. Again, our appropriations will definitely be better than budget in the B fund. Next slide is the B. B fund revenues. Now this, we're going to have a shortfall here. I bring your attention to lines 2 and 3, the sales tax and the 3 and 5, the sales tax and the Dutchess County grant. And I'm not going to talk too much about this. We all remember they locked us into our sales tax at $1,925,000. In exchange for that, they were going to pay for the election expenses. That was about $93,000. And then in addition to that, they were going to make us whole. So somehow this was the combination we budgeted in 2013. Them making us whole was for an issue outside our operating budget. It has to do with the salt spreaders. So we have a hole in our revenue of $250,000. We do plan on making that up. The building department through 11 months is plus 120,000.
Jim, the sales tax.
Yes, sir.
The county took about 600,000 in sales tax out of our pocket and put it in their pocket, correct? The and the grant program that they said was going to help make us whole year in and year out if we became more efficient and did shared services. Did they renew that in the 2014 budget? Do you know?
I know the county exec did his portion. It was $1 million from him and $1 million from the legislature. I don't know if the legislature has or not. We'll have to look into that.
I mean, ultimately, the idea that they're going to take the sales tax revenue that was our portion, 600,000, and then if we become more efficient, throw us a few dollars back. I think we've proven that we've become more efficient over the years without having to have the county take our money and hold a carrot out in front of us. And I just think it's, when you look at that 3.65% number for the county's budget, it's not a real number. It's an artificial number that if you have a tax cap of 2%, we have to live with it, and the school districts have to live with it. You would think that the county and state government should live with it also, and basically raising the sales tax and putting money in their pocket that way, and then saying that they've stayed under the 2% tax cap is not, in my opinion, an honest way to approach it. I think we've always been very honest with our residents about what we spend, how we spend it, and we didn't raise our fees 30% to cover a shortfall in the budget. We basically paid our bills. So It just, to me, that it's annoyed me from the day they started to look at that. The town of Poughkeepsie, town of Wappingers, town of Fishkill, I think, generate the bulk of the sales tax revenue. It doesn't go to us, it goes to Dutchess County, City of Poughkeepsie, City of Beacon, and there was an opportunity to change that and rework the sales tax distribution, and basically nothing really was done to help us. It was done to help the county and make their numbers look better artificially. And while I'm on it, the energy tax, I think it's just year two of the same thing where, they're raising $7 million by taxing utilities, our electric, our heating oil, our firewood, and that's not balancing your budget. That's taking money out of people's pockets that already can't afford it. And I know that, they throw back that we're getting a piece of that. In my honest opinion, I would rather have the town taxpayers pay a fraction of a point less than getting any of that money from the county, because I think it's offensive that they're even charging it.
Well, it's not fair and equitable anywhere along the line. Sales tax not fair and equitable. The energy tax isn't fair. I mean, if they raised their budget, went over 2% and told Albany, you stop the unfunded mandates, which they're doing with us with the MTA and everything else, if they work from the top down instead of just taking from the bottom and working their way up, the system will work better. They're just taking what they need to balance their budget. Instead of them going to Albany and fight to Albany and said, cut these mandates out, we have to have tax relief. They're just throwing an extra couple of $100 on us, which is probably a 20% increase by the time you pay your energy taxes. You add all the sales tax to that. And as you said before, the towns are the ones generating all the sales tax. And it's our police department, which could be half the size if we didn't have 9, 44, and 55. And it's not paying a portion of what that is. It's not covering hardly any of that budget.
And I do think on principle alone, if we could not charge that, whatever percentage the town is supposed to get of that energy tax, if we could not charge it, I think it would be worthwhile not charging it. We didn't budget it into our 2014 budget. Negative. Because again, I've always said we pay our bills here in the town and it's not artificial, it's real. So if we could not charge it, I would think that's a good idea. If we could rebate it to residents.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to rebate it. I mean, it would cost us more to cut $5.25 checks.
I know, I
hear what you're saying.
And it hits, the problem with this stuff, sales tax and the energy tax, it hits the little guy that can least afford it. It's a regressive tax. It hits the small person who's just struggling to try to pay their mortgage, pay their taxes, and now your heating bill is going to become that much more unaffordable in a cold winter. And the idea that turn your thermostat down, you turn your thermostat down, your whole house freezes up. So not really an option.
Jim?
Yes.
On the grant, Dutchess County, we budgeted for income from them, $252,000, and the income was zero?
Right.
That's what he just mentioned, yeah.
Right. What is that?
That was tied to a long story, but that goes back to the sales tax issue. We had, our budget in 2012 was $2.3 million. The county came up with this idea that they were going to cut back on the sales tax, but they said they would make us whole between the election expenses and a grant. So we budgeted it, and
they had indicated they would make us whole
The
on our
basic
operating
county
expense.
didn't tell us the truth? Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's stick to, why don't we stick to our finances, which is what this is about, and not turn this into a let's hammer the county night. The point is the grant, I know you enjoy it, but that's not the purpose.
So we're short. We're going to be short.
We're not, listen. This is the revenue side, and it's part of a big picture. So on a whole, we're not going to be short for 2013. The grant we received from the county is an operating budget item. It's for salt spreaders, which, are more of a capital expense. We didn't have them in the operating budget. We had budgeted the $252, thinking that the grant would make us whole. It ended up being, we couldn't find anything within our operating budget. We passed a few ideas by them of things that we had in our operating budget to see if we could fund through that grant. None of them would fly. We got to the salt spreaders, which we think is a great idea, although it's not in our operating budget. So that's why that's zero. Now, on the revenue side, sure, it makes us short $250,000, but overall, we're going to make it up in our expense. And even on the revenue side, if you look at this, overall, well, we've got the sales tax in there as well, which, this is through 11 months, so we should be fine on the sales tax as well, but.
And Bill, we knew about this early in the year, so we've been watching expenses and trying to make this up.
Just so we were given these salt spreaders, which is about $250,000 worth of equipment?
The grant is for $357,000. It's a shared grant with High Park. I think it's for 17 of the pieces of equipment. We're gonna use 10, they're gonna use 7. I think our share, I don't remember, I think our share is somewhere around 225, 235, something like that.
So, when you talk about the big picture, that number isn't, it's in balance then?
It's not in our.
It's not covered in the revenue?
The salt spreaders weren't in our operating budget.
Okay.
You know, we
took a hit from the county so that they could stay below the 2% tax cap, basically.
All right, Jim, why don't you continue on the
Okay.
program?
Okay, the next slide is a good news story, our highway department. The top part of the schedule is the appropriation side. Again, highway also does a good job. They remain within budget and still accomplish much. Based on some positive results here, you can see pretty much all their categories. Now, the snow removal, let me take you down there. We met with him in mid-December, and basically we were about ready to take him out to lunch. We were doing so good. Things happened quickly.
Mark stopped the snowfall.
After he left the,
Yeah, unfortunately, you can't control Mother Nature.
so that 211,000 we're sitting on, still available. We still have bills out there for salt, materials, and contractors. All the salaries have been paid, pretty much. December was not kind. So far, we paid 68,000 in salaries and contractors, but there's still some other bills coming in. In 2012, we had a great year, and that was one of the reasons there was no snow, so.
So are we gonna end the year over $1 million in the positive for highway?
No,
No?
no. There's still 1 month, so that 211, most of that's gonna go away, Stefan, because of the snow. Like I said, he's got a lot of bills we haven't
Remember,
paid
we had
yet.
those snowstorms in December? That hurt us.
So that 211 that we have, but still, he's gonna be positive. He's got all those other
Around the
numbers.
weekends.
Their weekends and
Time and a
holidays,
half.
remember?
It'll be okay. It won't be like 12. 13's not gonna be that good. It'll be a decent year, you know, for highway, but, if we didn't have those storms in December, we'd have another real good year.
And you really can't bank on that either, because
You can't, you have to budget.
You have to
We live in the
budget.
Northeast, you have to budget it. You
God
just,
forbid you don't.
right, you just pray for mild weather.
We do.
Some do.
Yeah.
It's a matter of perspective, right, Joe?
Next slide is our water fund. Now we get to our fourth fund of the town. Again, the water fund is one of our strongest funds in the town. The joint water plant continues to benefit our town. We bought the plant back in 1995, 20-year debt, and this debt will be leaving in 2016. In February, we'll be making our last $550,000 payment. And that's going to be timely because we have a new project coming up based on New York State. The average family, I did a quick comparison. Todd asked me, I compared town of Poughkeepsie, city of Poughkeepsie, city of Beacon, town of East Fishkill. The town residents pay $36.38 this year in the tax, and that's based on the New York State audit. We're able to tax based on the debt service, and the rate is $2 per unit. A unit is 748 gallons of water. The average home uses 100 units a year, so the average resident in the town of Poughkeepsie is paying about $60 a quarter. City of Poughkeepsie is $345 a year. That's $240 a year. The city of Beacon is $392 a year, based on the same 100 units, and the town of East Fishkill is $310. So our water fund continues to be very strong. Todd works closely with Supervisor Ballard. Councilman Carlos is our newest member of the Joint Water Board. He joins Chairman Newton, and with Todd, we are well represented going into the future. There are a lot of decisions get made on that water board that are going to affect us.
And the water fund is running to the positive 1.6 million?
Yes.
Okay, and I say I've had a little bit of an issue in that the water fund balance is growing extremely large at this point, and I think we had this conversation. I want to make sure that we kind of keep following through on it. When we do the plan upgrade, we have a lot of cash in the bank, and rather than keep building this water fund
we'll have to use it.
exponentially, I think it makes sense to spend the money that we've kind of been stockpiling over there.
That's the plan, Stefan.
Because otherwise, we're just overcharging residents.
Oh, no, that's the plan.
Yeah, no, I know, but that's what.
That's why you have a fund like this, because a municipality doesn't, when you have a project, basically this upgrade,
and the
it's nothing but an unfunded mandate handed down from the EPA.
Yeah, but the nice thing is that we're going to be able to pay cash out of that fund for a big portion of the expense, and hopefully any bonding that we have to do with the bond coming off the books.
That's the plan,
And then
Stefan.
the excess that's being kind of accumulated annually over there will minimize the impact or zero out the impact.
Yeah,
That's the plan, if it can be seamless to the residents. And
that's the plan anyway, so we'll see if it works out.
At least on the town of Poughkeepsie side of the equation.
Yes, that's right.
And then we take to another success story, is our sewer fund. Based on two key strategy changes, we're in the best shape our sewer fund has been in years. We're building up a favorable fund balance. The two strategy was United Water came in the second half of 2011. And then, I got to give credit to Supervisor Zanni. He's doing more with less people. He runs a tight ship over there. In addition, we have budgeted monies for anticipated sewer plant upgrade. That's that 200,000 you see up there in contingency, Joe, third line down. So that's monies that we had, that's in the bank for, because we have an upgrade going in the sewer plant as well. The town rate for sewer is $1.50 per unit, the same 748 gallons of water as it passes through the meter, with an additional annual tax based on a capital within that specific district. At present, we have 28 districts, and the capital tax is basically calculated on the length of pipe, manhole covers. It's a formula about 40 years old that we've been able to stand behind.
So so the sewer plant this year alone, based on numbers that we factored in with United Water running it, and based on what United Water is getting paid for the month of December, is at least $100,000 positive.
That's
correct?
right.
And then Franco with the sanitary sewer collection with a $1.7 million budget through November was $550,000, almost under, which again, I think overall it's an amazing job by everybody that's working in those departments, because those budget, the sewer plant is a $2 million number. Saving $100,000 is pretty good in comparison. Saving $500,000 out of 1.7 million is an amazingly good number. And I do think Franco's working with he's lost a lot of guys over there. He's been making it all work. I just want to make sure if we need to restaff a little bit or deal with any of that, we do it. But it goes to show you that we have really good employees working throughout the town, and the department. Mark Pfeiffer, Keith Ballard, Franco. Our comptroller, all throughout the chief of police, all throughout the town, we got very good department heads and good people all the way down. And the supervisor who's been active in watching this stuff and being a part of it rather than just sitting back on the sidelines. I think the team has done a very good job, and the taxpayers are the ones that benefit. So, it shows in the numbers.
It does, I agree with you.
And that basically is our 5 major funds. And we'll update you once we get the final numbers. We usually pay bills till about middle of March for December. We want to make sure we get everything in. We're on the accrual basis, prepare our report for Albany in May, and the auditors come in.
When do the auditors come in, April?
Auditors come in April after I
Start
complete
audit
that
in
report.
13?
Yeah.
So, bottom line is 13 was a decent year for us. Wasn't as good as 12. Wasn't as bad as some previous years, but it'll end up being okay, and hopefully we can
I think when you take a
grow
look
the
at
fund
the
balance
around
a little bit.
it's not bad at all, because
No, it wasn't
a lot of
bad.
other municipalities have had some tough
Yeah.
times. So
You're exactly right.
Thanks for the presentation, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Good job.
Yeah, you want to ask a question? Yep, come on. Come on up.
Jim, so on the tax distribution, this isn't a percentage, right? Where Councilman Cracker said 3.65%, but it's really $3.65 per
$3,
thousand?
yeah, that's-
Okay, I just want to verify that. Okay, so it's $3.65 per thousand for the county, and the town is $4.60, and then the Arlington Fire District is $5.54 per thousand, which is the highest.
Outside of the schools.
Outside of schools, right. When you talked about the workers' comp, the savings you're going to get for 2014, you talked about that for the A fund. Is that also the same case for the B fund?
All five
So the
funds.
all 5 funds will be, okay. So you're expecting then in 2014 a significant savings in workers' comp?
Yeah, we were happy with PERMA, but, we heard the numbers. Todd said, we're interested, and we went, and we sat in on a couple of meetings with them, and we're hoping for the best. But
And a lot of what, the savings we're seeing is, some of that, in a large extent, is based on our history and our,
It's like a
the
record
accident.
of-
Yeah,
okay.
so we're trying to impress upon our department heads, and they understand that that's important. Workplace safety is a very important item. It'll impact our budget, and hopefully, next year and the year beyond, we won't have major occurrences that skew that number, but it is based on our history.
we've initiated the safety committee. We meet once a month.
Yeah.
Our personnel gal, Cheryl Veach, runs that. We had a meeting yesterday. The little things, Jake was talking about the snow and how to be careful. So little things make a difference.
Yes, definitely.
And then just when you talked about the water plant, you were talking about, when you said that it was, I think, 1995? So that's when the town bought into the share of
Yes.
the water treatment plant?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? All right, Jim, thanks. Appreciate all your hard
Thanks
work.
very much.
And as Jim said, the graphs will be on the website. If anybody's interested in looking at them, we'll have some on display here at Town Hall by the clerk's office and receiver of taxes, so for your viewing pleasure. I'd like to suspend the rules for public comment on town issues.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody here who wishes to address the board? Seeing no one, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Town board is adjourned at 7:55 PM.
We don't have to do the. Wants to restart the.
Yeah, why don't we,
Oh, he's gonna go back.
I forgot the committees. So before we end, let me run through the committees quick. No. Finance Committee,
Nothing to report.
Fire Advisory,
Nothing to report.
Government Ops,
Yes, I want to report that I attended a Green Energy Summit in New Paltz, and they were primarily discussing the development of wind energy off of the coast of New York. And the difficulties with green energy is not so much creating it as storing it and having a reliable energy source. And that's about it.
all right.
So what was it, turbines?
Yeah, they're talking about actually the ocean there is a long, shallow shelf. So they're talking about putting wind turbines 5 feet out. And they're in the ocean claiming by, if they go ahead, 2050, that they could power the southern half of New York State with a wind energy.
So we'll be able to sit on the shore.
much for your
and look at
Won't
the
be able to
beautiful-
see,
Yeah.
yeah, but you won't be able to see them because they're 5 feet out. So it'll be just at the edge of the horizon, so you can't see.
5 feet or
That makes-
5 miles?
5 miles out.
I can see that.
Oh.
5 miles out.
I was gonna say,
Not 5 feet
I'm
of
not a
being
great
space.
swimmer, but I think I can make the 5 feet.
No, 5 miles
5
out, so it'll be
miles.
on the edge of the horizon, so you can't see
No
them.
kidding.
All right, great. Land use and planning,
Nothing to report.
personnel,
Nothing to report.
rec,
Yeah, we met tonight, and we're starting our beginning phase of preparing the parks for the spring and meeting with everybody and trying to do some work with the parks to not consolidate, but probably bring things closer together, so maybe it'd make it more cost efficient on some of the parks and
be nice.
going into a couple different avenues on some of the other parks.
Beautiful. Seniors,
Nothing to report.
technology and equipment,
Nothing to report.
and infrastructure.
Nothing to report.
And that now brings us to the end of our agenda. for the second time and make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Town board adjourns at 8 o'clock.